Welcome to Philosophy Podcast. I'm Carlos Garcia, and I'm excited today to host an episode that's going to be very interesting because it's about the conversation of AI and the future of AI. And literally, when I publish this episode, there's probably going to be 17 new updates about AI, which will make this yesterday's news. But if there's anyone that could really help bring some light and context to what is currently happening and what to look forward to the future, is the person that I'm getting an opportunity to speak with today, and that's Adam Stewart. So Adam, thanks for being here, man. You are the founder of Digital Bond Marketing. I got a chance to meet you in an awesome Japan trip with our common friend and mentor, Chris Do. And man, what an experience that was. With the short time that I got a chance to interact with you, I just felt such a great connection with you, and like how cool you were able to actually like use AI and tech and vibe coding to like enhance the experience for everybody. And that just blew my mind. I had already dabbled into that world a little bit. As I mentioned to you, I have a friend who's also a systems engineer, and he's really embracing some of the AI tools. And I was like, you know what, I got to invite you to jam with you on this topic. But yeah, you're a content creator. I'll put the tag for everybody to follow you because you have awesome updates on everything that's emerging in LLMs, in AI tech, and I'm just excited to have you on, man. So welcome.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, man.
All right, cool. So I'm going to have a big opening question. What excites you most about AI so far this year? That's part one. And what scares you the most right now?
I think they definitely come together. Like this so far, I think we're 2 months into the year, and it's really been agents. That's been the biggest play for 2026. And it's exciting because it's going to that next stage where it's not just ChatGPT giving you answers back to questions. It's actually doing the things for you. So we definitely saw it with OpenClaw, which came out. With anyone that hasn't used it before, it's basically a tool that you can install on a local machine, and then you can attach an LLM to that. So it could be Anthropic's Claude, it could be OpenAI Codex, and then it can actually do tasks for you on your computer. And I think that was a massive shift. There was a lot of people using, say, Claude Code to do stuff very similar to this, but I think non-technical people hadn't gone that deep and seen something actually like take over the computer and like do agentic tasks. So that is the biggest and the craziest thing so far, where I also see it as being fairly scary, as it does potentially wipe out a lot of jobs. And I think people are going to have to be using AI together in their role and look at their jobs very differently, as it's going to do a lot of tasks better than what we can do, especially those manual tasks. So that's one that I'm very excited about, but it also can be very scary for people in certain roles. And I think what that's going to look like over the next few years, or even next few months, to be honest.
Yeah, and I know you partner a lot, you've mentioned to me, and to the extent of whatever you can share, because I know some of these things might be confidential or whatever, but you partner a lot with some of these big AI companies, right? There's some of them you're doing promo for their product, or you're testing it, or maybe you're helping develop features, things of that nature. Using the tools that you probably have hundreds of tools that you know that's good, that's crap, or whatever. Using the tools that you're using, what's been like an interesting project that you've been able to execute using these tools that has changed your productivity or just your approach to executing or fulfilling a task?
I think it really is like that agentic side. So I think I would have set it up about 6 months ago, or maybe longer, where I would get the latest AI news every day. And basically before setting up this automation, I used to go through X, I used to go through Instagram, YouTube, and like watch a lot of content, read it all, and then kind of come to a conclusion on what I wanted to create content about. But basically I set up an automation that would pull all that data from everywhere, like YouTube, X, Reddit, all the different platforms and news, and then it would aggregate it all and then tell me what's trending, what's doing the best from that content. And then I started to add in different things to it. I would think, hey, how can I make this even better? So I would then get an LLM to write a script on that video, similar to the style that I've done on, say, 300 plus videos in the past. And then it would do really well. It would have a script and it would maybe be like 80% there. But the biggest problem with AI is you'll get a script back and it's extremely confident about what it's saying, but it is making things up. Like it will make up, say, 10% of the facts within that script. So what I ended up doing is having another AI use deep research to go through that entire script. And then if there's any issues with it, it would tell me. And then basically each line I would have like a reference point of where that was actually said. So it saved me a ridiculous amount of time. And then instead of it being like, say, 70 or 80% there, I'd say it was like 90, 95% there. And then I would basically add in how I would script it better. So that's definitely one that has saved me a crazy amount of time. And I've like shown clients that. And basically, you can put that into different industries. So if it was, say, finance, I would just change it from AI to finance, and then it will find all the latest news once again on finance. And then it's pretty
Yeah.
incredible when you add that
So
in.
this is a productivity hack. You're a solo, like myself, kind of expert, specialist, subject matter expert, and you're trying to pretty much optimize your process of content creation. So as I think about content creators, it's like you wake up, you get this message, it's like here's everything done. But what I love is you've built like a little org structure inside of your agents, right? Like you've got the supervisor that's doing the checks and balances, fact checking, and you've got the person like doing the scrub work. And so, in essence, you're giving each of them a different role, so that you can optimize and get the most quality level, and result without you having to be the human in the loop of actually correcting and doubling down on that. So that's pretty interesting. Just recently, I mentioned to you, Hector, my brother and I, we run a accounting community online, and we also do an annual event, like a conference for about 200 people or so. And we were shopping around, and like this is transitioning more to like how I'm seeing like this substitute for SaaS in certain things. We were shopping around to try to get an events management app, and it's a major company, and they quoted us a pretty sizable, cost for them to just run the event and do the whole back end of getting folks to register and like go to the app. And if you ever gone to a conference, I'm sure you have, like you can tap and message them and share contacts, or if a vendor wants to scan your badge to capture a lead, like all these functionalities so that the event itself can be interactive and elevates the experience. And I was working with a good friend of mine, very much as skilled as you, and he knows how to talk to all these systems. And I was like, you know what, the theme of our conference is innovation. It's called innovative advisory. I'm like, let's model this ourselves. Like, let's actually build our own app. And I've gone through the experience myself, and I definitely hats off to folks in your space that have to run through all these things, because there's still a few systems that it's dependent on for you to be able to custom build. But his ability to just be able to grab my feedback with just words saying, hey, I want to be able to see this. When they click here, I want that to happen. Grabbing the AI transcript and then literally feeding it to the code. And then the agents go out there and start doing the thing. And then he's like, all right, test again. All right, test again. And of course, we got to some points where I'm just like, all right, this is the 700th test. We've got to now shrink this because there's too many iterations happening. So as painful as it was a little bit of a sprint. We were able to successfully launch it. I mean, this took us 2 weeks to develop, but in a couple of workflows, it was a workflow for someone who had prepaid a deposit for this year, and then they can do upsells and add all these other things. But then the visual, just like the connection to Stripe and all these elements, and I'm just like, there's a lot of work to it, but the reward was fantastic because it's got our own custom branding, our own custom workflow, very customized form that they fill out, like a survey, pre-event survey. And so I just love the experience. It was a little bit painful to be the customer having to feed the AI and the translator, if you will, because me, still a non-AI expert person, I can't do what you guys do. Like, you literally do have to have familiarity with knowing what systems need to talk to what do you set up on the back end. So I thought that was an interesting experience. It was the first time I went through it. Do you feel like this is going to be more common, or I guess what impact do you see customization towards? Like, is it a threat or an opportunity for SaaS? Because I know that at least in the US, we saw the markets react a little bit with every time there's like a new AI update. SaaS is like, oh no.
Mhm.
Tech is like, oh no. So let me just pause there. That was a front loaded, pre contextualized framing.
Hmm. I think like it's a great opportunity for say smaller businesses, and I think even what one of the bets that they're having kind of in Silicon Valley is like that first $1 billion one person company. And I think this tech allows that to happen. And I think it's a great skill to have. Like if you've built any type of application with AI, you do realize it is quite frustrating. It's not as easy as like some people show. You don't just prompt one thing and you got this incredible app. You prompt once and then there's hundreds of iterations and then it most likely isn't perfect at the end. And I think right now, even to some degree, you do need a developer that like adds that little touch at the end or someone that really knows what they're doing. But I think it's an incredible skill. Like now that you've done it once, say another project comes up, you're like, hey, we can just build this with AI and you know what systems you use, like where to host it. So I think it's an incredible skill. And I have a lot of clients that come to me and they say, can you like help me build this app with AI? And I think at times they want me to build it. And what I say to them is, no, like I'll walk you through how you would build it. And I think a lot of times people are under the impression that AI is like this super sophisticated language, but it really is like natural language. So you want to speak to it how you would speak to a human and just give it as much context on what you need. And then now you even just do the same thing when you're like iterating it. You're like just giving it really specific language on how it can fix those issues and make your application better. So I think it opens up being able to build applications to a wider market. I think it's a great thing. I know developers are still going to be the best at using it right now, but it opens up like that first initial like product that we want to launch and get to market can do like so much faster. As you saw, you built it in 2 weeks. That might have taken 6 months minimum. And then you're probably still not that happy with it. And you're $250,000 probably deep as well. So it completely changes the game.
And if we were to go 5 years ago to do this, it's a team of maybe a handful of coders and maybe it takes a little bit longer for a project like this. And now it's one person, client highly engaged in doing the iteration. And in 2 weeks, we were able to make this happen. And I see myself, with the partner that we're working with, throughout the year, we're developing different things, right? This was more sensitive part because this is the part where we need to collect money so that we can have cash flow to run the event. But now we want to build a view for a vendor or a sponsor so they can upload their logos and then we start printing the banners in their name. Or we want a view for those who are going to be table facilitators, or we want a view for the admin where we see all the activity that's happening. Could we modify people's profiles? And there's other things that we develop. And eventually at the end of it, by the end of this year, we're literally going to have an entire event management app. And now we actually can have a product that we can sell to other event organizers, technically fully customizable. All you just got to change is some little elements here and there. So we're partnering with this technology expert to do that. And so I think the future of the ecosystem in AI for it to work in the world of serving small business is someone like you or someone like Antonio, who I work with, and a creative entrepreneur that can run the business, because you can only wear so many hats, no pun intended. I know we're wearing hats, so we know what we're doing because we're wearing hats. But it's hard, I'm guessing for you, right? For you to be the developer brain, then the creative thinker brain, then the finance brain. And it's like all this code switching can be very exhausting. So sometimes offloading that and getting someone to help just run a different strategy. But I think that partnership is really strong, right? Having someone who's a subject matter expert, can speak to technology, and someone who has an audience, who has a community, who has a following, who has a brand that can just think of, great business ideas, and together you can do some really cool things together. I also think that there's just an ecosystem of these developers who now don't code, but they have to develop these skills of selling services where it's like, let's work together on building your solution that's custom. Because in my space, and I'm sure clients you serve, there's accountants, for example, they have a tech stack of probably 8 to 9 apps they pay subscriptions to. Yeah, painful and expensive up front to maybe consolidate those 8 to maybe 3. But just imagine having all your invoicing, all your client portal interaction stuff, all your contextual AI, note taker conversations to know about the client profile inside the CRM, proactive things that can remind you before that next meeting with the client. Like, and I'm sure you know of some apps that already kind of exist in silos that are SaaS related, maybe. But in my mind, I'm like, you build that, and that's such a great solution for a person just logging to one place to have it all.
Yeah, and I think it's already there, especially you could build that with something like OpenClaw, but it's definitely not at the stage where you would comfortably do it in terms of like the data and the potential of getting hacked, but it will get there. I think we've definitely seen they've partnered, like OpenAI, the founder of OpenClaw is now basically working with OpenAI. So I think we're
Right.
definitely going to see it get to a stage where it's like enterprise level where you can bring everything together and like create your dashboard in one place. And yeah, it's going to be pretty incredible. And I don't think it's that far away. So I think, yeah, accounting is a great industry as an example because it's very like the information that they're exchanging has to be very secure and
Yes.
they're using so many different tools and it's a pain because I work with accountants and I see how much that they go through. And then
Hmm.
also like each say city and country has like different regulations and rules. So
Yes.
it's for them, I think it's going to be very exciting.
And the part of like if you're going to be a major app or you want to be SOC2 compliant, like if you want your clients to feel like, what is this custom map? Is my information safe? Because their client on the end wants to feel like their information is safe too, in the space where fraud could be so easily done, and the level of vulnerability that it has. All right, I want to switch to, what do you think about how this is going to affect SaaS? And for those who listening and hear SaaS, it's software as a service. These big like HubSpots and Salesforce and all these other big software companies that they don't have physical hardware, right? Like their value is predicated upon their software. And now AI is kind of threatening some of that. What do you think they need to do to pivot?
I think like they're going to use AI and they're going to create like their own agents. So we're definitely seeing with that with Salesforce, they're like going very hard on like agents on that side, and they got to differentiate themselves and I guess being like more secure, that type of thing. And it's like one click, everything's done on that side. But it's going to be tough. Like I think a lot of very large companies will look at it and be like, we could build something ourselves that maybe is even safer than running through these like major SaaS players. I think when it comes to like smaller businesses, we're still going to see them using SaaS solutions like around that. Maybe it's $200 a month plan, that type of thing. I know a lot of people are like, oh, that industry is completely wiped out, but I don't see that being the case. People are like, you can build your own app like so easily. It's not that easy. It's easy, but if it's taking you hundreds of iterations and you're not even sure if it's secure and like if your client's data is safe. So I don't think it's going to wipe out complete like markets in terms of SaaS, but definitely there's certain like industries and like really large companies that are just going to realize they can build this themselves instead of paying say 100 grand a year in SaaS or per month potentially in a certain SaaS or CRM.
Do you think, I know that this is mostly, I have my own opinion, but do you think that AI will ever get to a place where it could serve as a sales force? Like it could replace a salesperson?
Yeah, I think so, but I don't think it's going to be as good as the best salesperson, but it will definitely get to a place where it's like maybe 80% there. And if you're not in the top 20% at your job, AI might take that.
So let me frame this question differently. Let's say you have a big pain point and you have a $10,000 problem, right? Like you got to pay someone or something 10 grand to fix this problem. Would you ever see yourself be able to talk to a chatbot and buy something, or with a simulated AI, fake, made, that would sell you through the process without talking to a human and spending $10,000? Could you see
100%.
yourself doing something?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. What would need to be real for you to feel that comfortable to invest
If
a large amount, whatever that would be to you, into a project?
if it was going to solve my problem, I will pay the 10,000 to whatever it is. Like if the problem is some dollar problem and I pay it and it goes away, I would be very comfortable, yeah, paying through a chatbot or a call with AI. It depends like what's happening on the fulfillment side, but I think we're seeing it now where Like Amazon, for example, they use a lot of chatbots and they're getting extremely good. And if I have a problem and a chatbot doesn't solve it, I'm pretty pissed off and I hate chatbots and I think it's horrible. But if I go through Amazon and the chatbot gives me a refund, I'm pretty happy. I'm like, hey, that did a good
Sure.
job and
Interesting.
I have no issues. So I think as they get better and they can solve the issues that we're wanting to be solved, I don't think we're going to have a big problem with it. I don't think it's going to be as good as like building relationships with people, that type of thing, but it will have a place where it's so good and it solves a problem faster than if we had to wait like half an hour to get on a call with a person or a salesperson, that type of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, I do see it being very effective in certain things. I do still feel like certain decisions are emotionally driven, and trusting somebody else's unique perspective, unique experience, yeah, unique ability to understand a problem contextually. Because there's these three ideas that Phil Jones, the author of the book that I shared with you in Japan, he says that most people, in order to feel good about considering to hire you or hire a company or a service provider, these three questions need to be answered. Have you done this before? Have you done this for someone like me? And have you done it recently? And if the brand or the company that has this technology, this chatbot that could interact with you like a human, can prove and answer those three questions, I think I agree with your answer. But it also means that like what $10,000 means to you might be different, or what it means to me might be different to what it means to someone else. I think there's probably a threshold to everyone around like what investment I'm willing to make without having a human intervene in that decision, because maybe there's something about somebody's unique perspective, judgment, expertise, point of view that can give me the comfort and confidence to make this decision. So it could be, it's different by different people's perspective. So I think that's where sales is eventually going. From your point of view, looking at the next 12 months, what do you think is the next step here as AI continues? I know that AGI is what has been talked about a lot. And like, what are the ramifications of that?
I think like agents, we're seeing a lot of companies just go really hard on that. And I think if we've got the biggest companies in the world all competing in that one space, having the best engineers working on that, we're going to see a lot of growth in that like area. So agents, I think 2026 will be the year of agents, and we're going to see more like enterprise level systems come out, and it can literally do entire tasks, and you can have it running 24/7, which is crazy. I think like one that's really good at the moment is like Manus with Meta, like acquiring it. I think it adds like that extra layer of like safety, and I think they wouldn't have purchased it if there was a lot of issues with it. So that's one I think for a lot of tasks right now. I tell like small businesses you can start using it. Don't give it passwords or anything like that, but definitely can have it doing some agentic work and getting into that like just field of like playing with it and seeing the power of it, which is crazy. But definitely agents, and I think the next thing we're also going to see this year is video is going to increase a lot. We've seen it with ByteDance, so like the creators of TikTok, they came out
Right.
with
And Seat Dance 2.0 just came
yeah.
out. That's crazy.
And I know there's been like halts on it and stuff because it's too good, but also there's a lot of copyright things that are happening at the moment where it can
It
just copy pretty much anything.
Did you see this? I forgot what it was that he did, but I think he filed for either like trademark or copyright for voice and likeness. Matthew McConaughey was the first one. This kind of reminds me of when Napster came out, and the guy from Metallica was like just going against Napster and like, for people not to download their music for free or whatever. I definitely do see something interesting shifting in the world of entertainment, Hollywood, and disrupting. And one thing that was being talked about is I don't think it'll replace it altogether, because I think humans definitely do want to experience the human experience, even though, AI can simulate very close to it. Like I'm starting to watch an 8-minute AI generated video, and I'm hooked, right? Because it's following all the things that can have you lean in, just like we're used to watching cartoons and things that simulate a reality. But I think the human element is still something that's going to be valued. And it feels like the next Academy Awards is going to have Best AI Film, Best AI Actor category. And it sounds crazy that that could be a reality, but it's almost like this duality of we're going to be now roommates with these AI simulations that are going to be showing up, whether it's in hardware, because now they got the robots that are going to be in our house, and or as our workforce. But you saying that this being the year of agents just is, kind of grows a thought on in my end. I know what agents are conceptually, but not once have I ever built one myself. And so I think the call to action, if it's for me, I'm guessing there's a big portion of the general population that maybe know or have heard what an agent is, but what would be the first step for a small business owner to like dabble into starting to use agents?
I like the idea of using something like Manus to get it to do a task that might have multiple like touch points, and it might even be like a great example that I get a few of my e-commerce clients to do is have an agent go onto their website and look at every single product and then find issues with it, get it to review the copy, the images on the page, and then create like a spreadsheet with everything on what they need to fix, that type of thing. And when they do it the first time, they're like, holy shit, like this is insane. Like
Right.
that would have taken maybe a week and I wouldn't have done it as well. It's kind of, yeah, like getting that task done. And then they start to think of different tasks that they can get it to do. So it could be rewriting that copy now in a style that you like, getting it to resize the images, which is pretty crazy. Like what would have taken ages, potentially even a graphic designer to do, like a tedious task. So definitely, I recommend start with small tasks that you're not giving the agent like full control to any passwords or logins, that type of thing. That's what I like people to start with, and then they see the power of it, and it will start coming to their mind. Hey, I could actually do this task. I can do another task. So you keep stacking on things to that initial task that you tested out.
That's awesome, man. His, I have one last question for you, which is, what haven't I asked you that would be
Mhm.
helpful for this audience to know about things to think about for AI?
I think like a lot of people, they see me as like just super pro AI, and I am. Like I think it's a great tool, but I also think this year we're going to see like a platform come out that is like very anti AI, and it's like if there's any AI on like this social media platform, they'll like kick the people off it. And I think what people say is like, how are you going to know if it's AI? I think like platforms like Reddit, if you come onto Reddit and you like have a sale or something, even if you're like really good at it, they pick up on it. They can like smell it from anywhere. And I do think we're going to see a lot of people try to push away from it. And I think that's a good thing. And another thing that I think is going to be really big is like what we did in Japan. Like we went and we're like all together and we saw the experience that you create having like all these great people together in one place. And I think that's going to become even more valuable and people are going to like crave it more because information now is pretty much free because you can just get it from AI. It can find all the best information from different people that's ever been out there. So I think like proximity is going to be the biggest thing over the next coming years. And it's something that I'm going to do a lot is get around like really great people. And I think the growth that you can get like in person is like nothing that you can get in terms of AI or watching a YouTube video, that type of thing.
Yeah. Sharing an experience with someone, just kind of creates a bond that it's really hard to be able to do on a virtual, type of format. And we're both experiencing something new together. So, that's a bond that we can share for a very long time. And we got to know each other as people first prior to the business side of things or whatever other, commercial reasons some people were there. And it's just, yeah, being able to find that tribe and vibe with them. All right, I'm gonna do lightning round. Quick questions. Just these are like, what's your favorite blank? Just to kind of get a little bit of fun out of the way, and then we'll wrap it up. So, real quick, what's your current favorite AI tool right now that you're obsessed with?
OpenClaw, I would say.
Okay. What's your favorite productivity, sales, or marketing tool you're using right now?
Zapier would be my favorite productivity.
What's your favorite book that you're reading right now?
I'm actually not reading a lot of books right now. I think I'm very much in the
Podcast,
stage.
video, like anything, or someone you're following?
Podcast, I would say Greg Eisenberg. His podcast is definitely my favorite at the moment.
What does he talk about?
AI, so I guess the
Of
intersection
course.
between like
Okay,
AI and marketing
cool.
for sure.
Fantastic. What's your favorite industry you like serving?
I would say like professional services. I think we can see the quickest change.
What's your favorite music or band, like group, artist right now?
right now. I listen, like funny, I listen to a lot of like lo-fi music. Like there's like a
Nice.
YouTube channel like Lo-Fi Girl, and I like just have that on probably like 8 hours a day right now.
Dude, I put on lo-fi interstellar music for 2 hours. It's hilarious. All right. Favorite place you've traveled to?
I think it still has to be Japan.
Hell yeah. Agree. All right. This is a bonus round. What's your favorite sales coach you ever met?
Oh, Carlos, no.
There it is. See, I didn't even feed it to you. Don't worry, man. The money's coming in the bank soon.
Perfect,
Adam,
bro.
it's been fun chatting with you and learning from you. Really do appreciate you giving us some time, insights, what's going on in this world. I think my audience will be really valuing everything that you've shared. I will definitely put all the details in the description for anyone who wants to learn more about Adam, how to work with him. I fully endorse and support, be in touch with him. He's got tons of knowledge in this space. But what's the best way someone can follow you or learn more about your content, which is absolutely phenomenal?
I think yeah, my main channels being Instagram, TikTok, and now YouTube. That's the one that I'm looking to push the most. Just Adam Stewart Marketing. It's the best place to find me.
Perfect. Good stuff, man. Well, thanks so much. Enjoy your morning over there. You're in Japan right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. 8:40
Fantastic,
a.m.
brother. Thank you
almost.
so much for joining. And thanks, everybody. Until next time.
Yeah, mate.